Hi, welcome to the HostAfrican, where we discuss web hosting and how it relates to business, the individual, and its general role in society. I'm Ashwin, your host, and in today's episode, we have Janet Machuka, brand and campaign strategist and founder of ATC Digital Academy. Janet, how do you do? This is a bit about just to get some idea of your background. Is you mentioned in your notes that you started off in journalism, and I mean, I was just wondering what motivated your transition from journalism to digital marketing, and like how has that shaped your approach to your marketing strategy overall?
Oh, great. I love that question. When I say I'm a media scientist, I'm a journalist, I feel like I'm still using the same media, only like now I'm using it on the laptop, on the phone, and online in the internet space. So I feel like I am at a very good space being a journalist and being a media personnel, especially the digital marketing aspect of it, because for us, I got a chance, and for those I schooled with, we got a chance to learn now the ethics, the standards, how to use the media from a professional point of view. Now, channeling that to the digital platform was very easy. And that is why I usually tell people, I don't feel like the transition was that huge. Because at the end of the day, even if I had to work in a media house, at the moment, I would have been using the digital asset devices. I would have been thinking about websites, social media, content analysis, and all that. So, how I transitioned is was just that aspect of the media being part of the digital space, social media marketing, looking at the analytics, checking on who are reading and what are the data like. And that is how actually I loved the aspect of digital. And I thought, why not focus on the reporting, going off the ground, going on camera, that is on broadcast, and then focus on how can I use now the digital to include more journalistic aspect of it and also become now that reporter that I want to be on the digital. And slowly by slowly, I decided now to think about business because I think I started when digital marketing was not that huge in Kenya. So that urge to learn more opened more channels and more opportunities in the business aspect of it. And that is how I changed the careers. Not really changed. I shifted a little bit to focus more on digital marketing.
That's it's quite interesting because I myself also started in journalism, and then I also well, like you said, shifted shifted to digital marketing. And I suppose I mean, there's a couple of things that I'd say is a bit different because I don't think I was as involved in let's say the data side when I was doing journalism. It was I'd say mostly focused on content, but my transition into marketing kind of made me more aware of what the public is thinking or feeling. I wouldn't say the public, but I mean in a marketing term, like what your audience is thinking or feeling, right? And I'm guessing they probably taught journalism in two different ways at our respective universities or campuses. But yeah, it's I do think it's quite interesting that we both kind of started that way, and then we ended up in a similar way, but our journeys are slightly different.
Absolutely. And when you talk about journalism, I did media science, which is now a huge aspect of journalism because journalism was just part of the facets, or rather, let me call it part of the course under the degree. But looking at how we had to learn inclusive digital marketing, I think that is what made now my course a little bit more interactive and more into the data other than just the content. But I like the fact that our background are a little bit gelled, so this conversation is going to be interesting.
Oh, I mean, I'm glad you think so. I mean, I hope. I mean, by the end of it, that you feel the same way. But yeah, I mean, I think I have similar expectations. I want to talk about your time at Sparks Corporate Solutions. The one of the things you mentioned was that I mean, you spearheaded a campaign there. I don't want to get into that particular one at the moment, but my question is like, can you recall any marketing campaign at your time at Sparks Corporate Solutions that you are part of that you can maybe go deeper into that experience and explain like why it was impactful for you individually and then also for the client.
Sure, I'll use one brand, and I think you might be aware of it. It's known Airtel Kenya. When I started working with Airtel and when we started working with Airtel, we were doing influencer management, especially on how can you get the influencers to talk about the products, to talk about the business, and overall as a brand and what they represent. Then that was back in 2019, November to, I think we worked for over like 3 years before now things changed and they shifted different people to work with. On that time, Airtel didn't have like influencer marketing campaigns or a lot of digital presence because we know in Kenya we have like big two telco companies, and one, of course, it feels like a monopoly, and the other one is Airtel. And so every time I got involved in the influencer strategies and also the execution bit, it was different because imagine you are in a market where one brand, that's the competitor, is already out there, and everyone feels like they're the only brand that people should actually use or the products they should use. And at the same time, you have this other brand that is a competitor, but they have also their own downside because one, when you look at the coverage, the speed, the data and everything is a bit not at the same level as the competitor. Competitor is actually invested in infrastructure, they've invested in marketing, they are growing, everything is working for them. But the other company, the infrastructure is something else. Looking at the prices are fair, everything is good in terms of the usage, the messaging charges, the calling costs, and the bundle is working for the common, like we usually call common mwananchi or common citizen. But when it comes to now the competitor, they are, yes, a bit expensive, but their services perfect. But now imagine you're in a campaign where you have to shift the narrative from the entire audience, or rather the audience that is consuming it. And at the same time, you're trying to tell them this is just a perception that has been created because you guys, we were laying low, we didn't do any marketing. And now everyone thought about us in a way that we are very poor, we don't have any network, we can't even make calls. And so imagine being part of that campaign, you have to shift the mindset of the audience that to believe that, you know what, we had a different perspective about this brand because we consumed what people are saying. And because they were not present to do the marketing in terms of doing a brand awareness with influencers or creators, doing the ads on TV and mainstream, now people believe that you're not nowhere and you're not actually the right brand to have like a for telco aspect of it. So being part of that, I think it changed because if you look at the narrative on how ASL Kenya has grown, especially on the market share and also the aspect of talkability, engagement on the social media platform, it started then when I was part of that campaign. So I believe that was so impactful, especially for not just the agency, but also for my brand, because I got a chance to fully understand what it means to track your data, what it means to listen to your audience, what it means to focus more on engagements, what it means sometimes to fight your competitor. And in this sense, I mean how to eat into the market with, those wars you make them feel like corporate wars, but at the same time, they're not really wars. You just want to eat into the market share because you're like, you can't be taking all the people. I want to also have a share. Yeah. So it was really exciting. And every time I look at it, I feel like that was the perfect time for me to learn digital marketing and learn how to build brands, not just from a point of I just want to do my campaign, I'm done, I'm gone, I get my money, and that is it. It's sometimes about what kind of impact can you create, not just for the brand also, but for yourself. And learning was something that we put into consideration a lot. And that is why we were like, even if it's happening and looking like it's a war, we're going head on and let's just try and eat it to the market. It worked. And I believe right now the company is really doing very well. And yeah, it's great.
I mean, just listening to your response, I can kind of I can hear a bit of that media science coming through, like in terms of how you consider the data and the analytics and whatnot. Because in terms of, I mean, just in terms of my own marketing journey, that's something I picked up only or started paying attention to only over the last couple of years. But yeah, it's just just something I just like, just a personal thing that I noted. But I'm trying to scale this down into something that's maybe a bit more accessible for the average person. Because I mean, generally, let's say your average marketer isn't going to be facing a campaign of that magnitude. Because I mean, changing the general public's perception on something, especially like if it's most of the people in a market where there's maybe two dominant forces, right? It just feels like a monumental task, and I mean, like, obviously, props to you for accomplishing that. I think it's quite a feat. But in terms of the average person, like, how would you say they can kind of change the perception of the audience they trying to speak to, or trying to maybe let's say kind of relate to when they marketing or selling their particular product?
I love that. Especially when you look at it from somebody who has like a small business, they are the founders, they are maybe thinking of offering services, they haven't thought about the strategy. I want to put myself in their shoes and, of course, worry. What should I do? How will I go about that? But first things first, I will tell them this. Think about the people who have already done something. They have already grown successful in your space. And don't look at it from a point of their business, look at them as individuals. One question you should ask yourself is, what did they do that you also need to do? And if it is a long way for you to start from where they started, because things have changed in the digital spaces and people are now using better and easier tips to grow. Ask yourself this question: how can I leverage their platforms? That's number one. How can I leverage the platforms available? They don't have to be their platform, but the platforms that are available, that part of these people who are already successful, have already like made it, they are already part of it, and they are part of the community. What do I mean by this? Social proof is very important, but it's very important if you also associate with people who have already done something. Especially on the association bit, it gives you an opportunity to be seen being part of a community that is successful, and you now start building that perception that you also are learning something that is going to help people. And by the time you talk about your business or in terms of your service of your product, people will be like, if you have already got a chance to engage with, let's say, Aaron, and Aaron has a good reputation, has a good image. He knows how to speak well. He knows how to represent his product well. People will be like, oh, we believe also you can do the same. Sometimes it can be like you really wondering, how do you now grow the authority aspect of it? Because I think thought leadership and authority on the digital is very important when you want to grow as a small business owner, and if you want to grow your business. I want you to think about you representing your business as you. And that is why personal branding is very important. And personal branding is important because high chances are all the time when you talk about HostAfrica, it doesn't talk by itself. You can't just push HostAfrica as a name to go and you send it somewhere to go and speak to people and talk to people and tell them about everything good that you're doing. You have to be there to talk about it, right? You have to be there to say about it. And that is why I usually encourage the small businesses you're looking at competing with the brands that have already built themselves over the years is to show up for that business. Go talk about it, go share about it. You're the one who knows where the story started. So can you be the person showing up to sell that story? And through that, you notice that the social proof now will give you an opportunity to talk in conferences, have conversations in podcasts like this, because this is one way of also me include building my social proof and also building that trust that you talked about, credibility, authenticity, and the reputation grows as time grows.
I like that response because I feel like it gives an actionable solution to. I mean, a lot of the marketers looking to kind of get their name out there, and entrepreneurs as well. I mean, it's something concrete that they can do, and also doesn't necessarily cost too much. I mean, I'm guessing maybe if you have to pay to be on a panel to speak to someone, that can cost some money. But to just show up at an event and be a part of the conversation, I feel like that's something you can do for free, you know. And I think I mean, just my experience when it comes to marketing, it's one of those fields that I'd say maybe entrepreneurs aren't they aren't as keen to maybe allocate a budget for it. I think they maybe underestimate the power of what it can actually do. But something simple like this doesn't require digital marketing professional. I mean, it's something they can do as like the head of their own business, you know. So yeah, I think that's a very good like perspective. I mean, I was looking at your following online. It's quite a big number. I mean, 250,000 followers in total. Oh, I'm probably growing at this at like now as we speak. Like, what do you consider to be the most effective strategies in building and maintaining your online presence? I mean, before we got started, I mentioned or maybe asked if you had maybe work plans or work projects that you were doing on the weekend. And I mean, you said you try to keep it Monday to Friday, which obviously is I think it's a good in terms of balance. But how much do you have to post? How much do you have to do to kind of maintain that?
Great. Followership, community, and also personal brand. I'll start from, some people feel like it's very hard to grow, especially in numbers. But I like the fact that lately people don't focus more on the numbers, they focus more on the impact. What kind of impact do you have? I love the fact that you have asked me that question because I know some people always wonder, how do I grow at the end of the day to get to a level I feel like I have enough audiences to talk to and engage with? I'll give a very simple approach. I feel like people overthink social media, they overthink engagement, they overthink growth, and they forget that the same way you make friends, even on the offline aspect of it, is the same way you can actually make friends on the digital platforms. The same things that you can do offline, how you go out, you go to events, you meet friends, you think about going to hiking, how you have conversations with your friends. That's actually what you should bring to the social media platforms. The reason why it's called social media is because it's just that social bit of you, or everything that you do from your social life, you just need to add to the digital platform. There are some things you might be like, no, I don't need this to be seen. I don't need this. You sieve through, which is perfect. But at the end of the day, it doesn't mean that you come up with something super crazy. Or sometimes people say, be creative, and people wonder, what do you mean by being creative? What what do you mean? Like, what kind of strategy do you think I should have that is from the moon? I don't know if it's from the stars, the signs, that I can be much better. I want you to look at every conversation that you put out on social media as a conversation you're having with your friend, with your mom, with your sister, with your brother. Because at the end of the day, you are actually trying to engage people and converse with them. But if you look at it from a point of just posting to grow, it will be very hard for people to think about stopping and listening to you and talking to you or having a chat with you, or even thinking about reading your content and sharing it. So, tip number one, think about conversations. When I usually tell people, write as you speak or speak as you write. Like the way you mind things, just put it down the same way. Because that way it gives people an opportunity to think about responding, because they will also be responding in a way they're also understanding the conversation. That way you'll be able to be engaging. And that is most of the time we usually talk about engagements on social media. Engagement on social media, sometimes I feel like it's not about just people clicking, liking, retweeting, reposting. It's more of, can people actually talk? This is why I'm saying that every time we go on social media and check on posts, we are always interested in posts that have replies than posts that have retweets, likes, shares. Ask me why. Generally, we are people who are human beings are very, how can I put it? The people who always want to know what other people say. Even if it's gossip, even if it's something nice, they just don't care. I just want to click and see, what are people actually saying? What are they doing? What are they thinking? And that is why most of the time when we're having conversations with our friends and then they go quiet, be like, are they judging me? Are they thinking I asked this question wrongly? That's the same way you should look at social media. And that's how we look at it. We are always curious. We're like, what did Janet say? What did Juma say? What did Barak say? What did Durka say? You always want to know what they're saying in the comment section. Why? Because generally where people would want a response, and the response is a conversation. So if you are going to focus more on conversations, that is a very good strategy for you to grow. Why? because people are constantly like in a mood of, can I check out and see what they are saying more on their timeline? And if you feel like you don't have followers and you don't have people to engage your posts, please do your research. Check around, benchmark the people that you want to grow to be like. They have already grown, they have a platform. Leverage that space. Go to their posts. Be among the first people to share something in the comment section so that the curious people like me who are going to read that post, they'll be like, I really like the way you're approaching this. Click, let me check your profile. And then if your profile has amazing stuff, I'll be like, hit follow. I want to see more of what you're sharing in terms of your content. And I want to read more of your opinions. So be that person who understands what humans want. Humans want a conversation. Humans want a community. And that is another aspect. If you are building an audience where you make people feel like they're part and parcel of you, one, in terms of entertainment. Now, this is where we take them back to the media, by the way, in class. In journalism, we learned media is acting as a watchdog. Media is acting as an educator. You have to educate, you have to entertain, inform, So that is why I usually say, you and I are very lucky, by the way, because we went through all this in class. So it's just about actuating them on social media and digital, because the media is our space. Imagine now somebody who doesn't understand that. We'll be the one to teach them. And that is why I say, if you don't understand that background, because for us, we got a chance to do that or to learn that, be somebody who can entertain at times. Because a community doesn't want to be reading your, if you're a lecturer, you just want to share about everything about lecture. We are tired. Sometimes you share something that is a joke. Share something that we can know about your social life, Share something that you can teach us about maybe your friends, something you like doing. You don't have to share your family. But there's some things, people have different ways of saving what is private to them. So learn on how to save what is private to you and what is public to you so that you can share with people. But don't ever forget to entertain people. Don't ever forget to inform people, educate people, become the watchdog of the society. And that is why it's called social media. Find the social conversations that you really gel with, talk about them. And you will notice that people will follow you for those different reasons. You don't need to have people who are always learning from you all the time. They will be tired. By the way, sometimes us in class, even during campus days, if the lecture exceeds 2 hours, we are yawning, we need to eat, we need to, they're like, please give us our time. We need to go and feed, and all that. And I feel like that is how everyone should look at social media, even if you're a business person. You don't have to be boring posting every single day about your business, your products. Sometimes talk about governance. If it's affecting your business, talk about finance affecting your business, talk about tax, the different things that are happening in the ecosystem of your business and the industry that you want to represent. So growth on social media is not just about you picking one thing, it's about you always being broad. Understand that it's a social space. We are invading the social lives of people who want to look for entertainment and jokes and now bring serious conversations. So learn when to bring the serious conversations, learn when to have a fun with them, learn when to joke with them, and learn how to belong with people. Because in a community, in a society, we have communities for a reason. We have clans for a reason, villages for a reason. We have apartment estates where we have a boundary, a fence, a wall for a reason, because we want those people to feel like they're one community. You can also build that community on social media, but if you feel like it's very hard for you to create one, find other people who already built communities. Social media is open to everyone. There's no gate, there's no boundary. Feed into their community so that the people can now follow you too, because that is how you invite more people to your space. And for me, that's the strategy that I've been using. Very raw strategy, an easy strategy, not sitting down thinking of a 3 year or 3 month or 3 year strategy. Nah, just every single day I look at it differently, because every single day comes with different things. As long as you have put out these are my brand values, this is what I want to put out, this is what I want to engage with, it will be very easy for you to find what to talk about.
If I could sum that up in a sentence or less, I think the idea is to basically be as relatable as possible, because I mean, in essence, that's kind of what people want. They want to relate to other people. I mean, they want to be a part of community, like you mentioned. And the reason why I focused on the 250,000 followers is because I mean, people see that number and they think like, wow, this is a massive number. It doesn't seem doable. But I mean, I guess overnight, probably not, unless you buying a bunch of bots or something for your account. But the same way you kind of make connections in real life, like maybe you know someone from campus, university times. Maybe you don't talk to them that often, but you keep in contact from time to time, or that's an acquaintance. That's a connection, like three connections, and then your first job, you made a couple of connections and so on. And I mean, that's kind of how I picture social media following working. It's just a bunch of connections or people that you related to over time. And I mean, that bond is a bit easier to maintain now that there is social media. Maybe before this, you'd kind of send them a letter or see them once every 3 years. And that would be the extent of your interactions. But yeah, I mean, I think another very practical way to approach building a following, basically for people kind of, let's say, starting out. Maybe they don't have much of a following, they don't have much leverage when they try to approach brands, or try to maybe offer their services as influencers, or people trying to market themselves online. Like how would you suggest they value their services, and like how do you value your services as a social media content creator? Does it depend on the project? Do you have a set rate, or like what's the case?
Wow. You know, that's a very smart question because all the time I'm always evading people asking me this question. I'm like, you should know your value. But at the same time, they'll be like, I don't know my value. And I can't be in their shoes and be like, I know your value. It's very hard. Let me just put it from maybe what I did and what I've helped some people know how to package their services in terms of what they should offer and how much they should charge it for. We usually say value is relative. Sometimes people might feel like they're very valuable because they went to ChatGPT, downloaded something, and then they learned about it. Now they think they have the information. But looking at value itself from my point of view, you should base it in terms of your knowledge. How many years have you been part of that space learning? How many times have you helped some people? How many times have you engaged with a few or three people? How many brands have you worked with? How many people who have already done it? Even if you did pro bono services to them, and what did you actually bring on the table? Or what value did you bring? What did you get as the end results? Now, with myself as Jane, who is just starting out, she has learned all this. She has done pro bono services, but now it has reached a point where somebody has asked for a rate card. They have no idea how to value themselves. They don't know how much they should charge for content. They should charge for a strategy. They should charge for maybe social media posting and management. I want you to first charge what you really feel comfortable. Because if you are going to reach out to Janet, probably she will give you maybe a rate that she has already felt like, this is where I am. I charge this amount. And by the time you reach out to your client, the client goes like, no, that's too expensive for me, because you're charging the same way the likes of Janet are charging, and they're very expensive. So Jane, I'll tell you this. I want you to think about, what can you genuinely want to get from that project? Because if it's your first time project, or if it's the project that you want to charge for the next 3 months or the next 6 months, and then take the amount you really are comfortable with, okay? That can solve the problems you feel like, if I'm going to spend time to do content creation, I need to eat lunch, add your lunch there. I need to use transport, add your transport there. I also need to tell my body, I'm sorry for your work. There's a lot of hard work. I need you to do ABCD. Pamper yourself a little bit. So first things first, charge according to the few little problems that you have, because you're also still trying to figure out how to scale up, how to grow, how to open the doors for many clients, right? And then number two, I want you to look at it from this point of view. You charging what you're comfortable with doesn't mean you're actually charging less than what the other creators are doing in the market. Have like a 20 to 25% growth margin. Like every month, or after, let's say the first engagement you had with a client, you did like 3 months contract, and then increase to 6 months, and then increase to 1 year, and then maybe you can be doing a yearly contract. Every time you want to engage with a client further, always add a 20 to 25% of what you have already been paid or what you charged previously. And this is what I mean. For example, if you charged $100, next time charge 120% of the $100, or 125 or 130% of that, because that will help you know how to balance the growth versus balancing what you're giving out to the client as value. Because what is going to actually help you grow is learning through that client and what you're offering, and also mastering that art. And at the same time, understanding the market and how it works. Another way to know how to charge for your services is sometimes throw the ball back to the client. Ask them this: what are you willing to put into this project? Or how much is your budget? And then in the budget, you can tell them, by the way, in this budget, I know my services are priced a bit higher, but I want you to do me a favor. I will pick A, B, C, and I will give it at this price of yours. And then next time when we add more, I can add. When you add more money, or when you grow, you can add more money, and then I add more services, or I give you more from what you've already said. That way, it helps you with you be able to, one, create a relationship with the brand or the client, and at the same time help you to gel and grow and look at a long-term goal instead of a short-term goal. So always sometimes ask them, what is your budget, if you're really clueless on what to do. Another thing you should do, if, for example, you've been in the space for a while and now a client, you feel like they are really a very huge client who are approaching you, and you feel like my rate card is too low for this client, please call around. Ask people who have already worked in that space. Ask them, how much do you think I should charge this client? People are ready to guide you. They will tell you, oh, for this client, because they are this level, try to charge this. And something that I usually use as a hack for most of the creators, I tell them this: have like 3 rate cards. Go a rate card for that client who's just starting, a rate card for a client at the middle level, and a rate card for a client who has already been here for years. So do exactly that, so that at least, and every time they reach out, request for a 15-minute call, understand who they are, what they represent, and where they're at. And at least ask them questions, not just learning of who they are about us and that is it. Ask them questions. How many people do you have in your team? Just to learn and understand the capability and the ability they have to actually invest in a marketing budget. Because there are some who tell you, we don't have a marketing budget. We don't have a budget for you for any of your services, but you tell us. So that is when you poke holes, ask questions, and once you get the information, look for professionals who are recruiters, people already in the space who understand that, and ask them to guide you. You'll actually be surprised how much people have in terms of information out here, and they're willing to help you. And then you can be able to price yourself. Personally, I have used so many strategies, but the main strategy that helps me a lot of the times is the perception one. You just throw it back to the client. Tell me your budget. And then they tell you your budget, like, so you mean my brand has grown to a point that it can be paid that? Let's go.
I like that because I think a lot of influencers or people marketing themselves on social media, I think figuring out how to value themselves and their rate, or how to rate, like how to figure out what their rate should be. I think it's an issue many of them kind of learn the hard way, where it's maybe they place too much value on themselves, or too little, or they don't know how to nurture the relationship. And I mean, your suggestion of making it a bit more accessible for the client by offering certain services based on their budget, and then once that relationship is kind of, I wouldn't say secure, but like it's been built on, you can kind of push the boundaries a bit from there, or maybe try to offer more, receive more, so I think that kind of answers a question that or it allows people to kind of get some skin in the game, because I think where maybe a lot of people perhaps fall flat is that they did the work to maybe build a following or a brand or community, or they studied, they learned, they did their research or whatever the case is, and then they aren't sure how to take that next step to actually monetize whatever they've monetize the work they've put in, you know. So I think your perspective kind of I think it kind of it gave good insights into how they can kind of go forward with that. Something else I want to find out is that I mean with you speaking at conferences all over the world, right? Sharing your expertise and so on. What's the most common challenges like you see businesses, especially entrepreneurs, facing when it comes to marketing, like in different regions?
Challenges in marketing.
Yeah, that businesses or entrepreneurs that they face, like what's the most common ones that you see them encountering, and it's like, oh, this person had this problem in Kenya, this person had this problem in South Africa, this person had this problem in Portugal. Like, which are the common ones that you encounter all the time?
I think the major challenge I usually see is not using the data wisely, especially when you talk about monitoring, social listening, and also like getting to understand and know what exactly your audience is saying. Because most of the time they end at, oh, we are just creating content. They just pump a lot of content out on social media, graphics on Canva. Canva is cheap. We can create stuff, we use it. They post every single day. We are seeing stuff every offline content. They just focused on, oh, we have to post every single day. But what if on Fridays we don't need your content as consumers? So the main challenge they have is actually getting the engagement. Because most of the time they feel like they have created perfect content. They go through even 10 meetings just to make sure that one piece of post is actually fine and amazing. But the moment it lands on social media, people are like, next. Oh, we just scroll past it very fast because we're like, nah, this is not our cup of tea. So the question should be like, it should be for the brand. What are you doing apart from just you thinking about creating your own content from your end? Are you thinking about engaging the audience? Because I feel like most of the businesses have a wrong approach of marketing, especially digital marketing, because they're constantly thinking of what am I putting out from my end as a brand, instead of also sometimes pausing and being like, let me go and scout and see what marketers are doing on their personal accounts. Let me go be part of conversations that I feel like they really help this brand. Let me go and, respond to people and understand what is happening in the market. Let me also ask people questions on other things they want to join. Let me share jokes a little bit. Back to the other basics we talked about: entertainment, education, and information, and also the watchdog. So what are things that you're doing as a brand, not to focus just on you pushing a lot of content out, you thinking about, I need more sales? Because that is another problem that I have. But another challenge is they think marketing is sales. The moment they post for 3 months and then they get disappointed, they go like, oh, this strategy is not working. Oh, this social media manager is not creative enough. Oh, this content creator is not worth it. We have wasted our money. The question is, are you gelling the two together? Are you bringing the sales team and the marketing team together? Or is it you thinking of just because you're using digital marketing, you should expect sales? And another challenge they have apart from that is always thinking it's about them. It's about the people, by the way. The reason why you do your research to find out your target audience is because you want to know what are those people really interested to learn. So take your time, learn those people, because they're the ones who are going to now give you a job to social listen, a job to monitor, a job to do the data analysis, a job to think about the strategy, and a job to create now that content that works for them, and not content that actually adds more posts on your timeline that are not making any sense to the business. Above all, data. I know we talk about data, and every time we talk about data, people think, oh, this is not our job as marketers. We just need to market. They think it's just about marketing and just leaving it at that. Marketing is a funnel. We usually have like a marketing funnel. At what point do we do awareness? And it's a journey. And marketing is a journey for the audience, for the business too. How can we go from just being seen to actually making these people be part of our community, even if, number one, they might not gonna buy, but they're always ready to talk about us. And that is where we bring out the aspect of user-generated content. The most challenge most businesses have in the market also is people having to talk about them in a good way. Like people just having a random conversation and be like, you know what? When you talk about the suits, you should go and check this brand. They can use you as examples. They can share their own experiences about your brand. You don't have to tell them. And that is what most of the businesses are missing out. Because all the time they're constantly thinking about themselves and they never thought about how can we make impact in terms of reaching out to that person who might not really need our products and service or buy anything, but they're willing to be part of our fan base or part of our community because they love our jokes. Even if they're dry, yeah, they love them. Even if some of the audiences that want to buy our products feel like they're not making sense, there's some who feel like, but this information you give about this news and this industry is really working for me. So understand how the different audiences you are, segment them, learn there's some audiences on your timeline who will not be buying from you. There are people who will not be talking about you. There are people who will just be entertained by what you share. There are people who will be getting information from you because you're sharing about your industry. There are people who will now be interested and invested in your products and services. Balance that. The moment you balance that, you'll understand that you have done the best social listening. Now you're going to solve the problem of I lack social listening, I lack social monitoring, I lack getting the right content to the people. I lack, I don't have the problem of thinking of what should we post next week. Maybe next week we don't need your content. People just need you to be you, go to their content, engage them, and have fun. People don't need to know about your services or that. Just balance. And the moment we get to balance, I think the problem of now, what I talked about, sharing content and people passing past you, they're like, nah, not today, devil. Not today with your posters. Next, they'll be like, now I think I need to halt and listen to this person. And something else, maybe a tip I can share to businesses. I want them to go and check and see what the best businesses, the likes of Burger King. I'm using the main ones because I've seen them change. Sometimes I feel like they change the narrative and the trend on how we do marketing on our social media platforms. And one thing I love about them is that they don't focus on graphics all the time. But the small businesses who are starting, they usually think Canva is the best. Yes, Canva is free, but please don't overuse Canva. Sometimes take photos, real photos, raw photos, share about them on social media. They don't actually have to be always well drafted, graphics well done, and all that. People get tired. Balance the content too.
Yeah, I think that's some good insights. The I just want to mention though, I don't think you should be too harsh on Canva designers because I'm kind of a Canva designer myself. I mean I wouldn't say I'm particularly good, but I dabble, So yeah, just that was quite funny when you mentioned that. But I do think the focus on quantity over quality when it comes to content is it's also a common issue. Like I mean, like you mentioned, I think people perhaps the perception of it is that if they're on people's minds all the time, I mean, maybe that's likely to translate into a sale, and so, maybe sometimes that can be the case. With I mean, I don't know if you have this in your close to where you stay, but maybe if there's a billboard on close to a highway and it has a Coca-Cola ad, every day after work you drive past that ad. Maybe one of those days you'll be like, okay, maybe I'll get a Coca-Cola. It could be that they following that line of thinking, but the I feel like in many cases the companies or maybe small businesses don't have a market share as big as Coca-Cola does, where it's like as easily accessible, or if any of their competitors are seen, their brand will be the one that the audience decides to go for just because it's all over the show. It's yeah. I mean, I'm not sure if I worded that idea correctly, or if you understood what I was trying to get across there.
Sure, sure. Especially on the small businesses, I feel like, yes, most of them focus more on content. And I think this is where the founders, because I feel like the founders have the opportunity to help the business grow faster because they know the story behind it. Where did it start? And that is why when you talk about the social proof aspect, the business is not going to walk out of the office to go and help itself and be part of a conversation. Sorry. we have some biker rally around. I don't know what's wrong with this guy, but all is good. Yeah, I was saying, in terms of the small businesses, yes, focusing on how can we be seen more by the founders, the people in the team is more important than thinking about creating a lot of content on social media that might not be important at that time. Because there's no need of posting like 20 posts in a week to 40 people. That doesn't make sense. It's better you post like 2 posts, but the other post, maybe you think about being part of other conversations where you can talk about the business. Because where you talk about is where people also think about checking it out. For example, when we started the conversation, you mentioned the agency that I work with. High chances are people will be going to check what it does, what they post on social media, and that is how businesses grow. And that's how also people grow. The conversations we have and then mention people at the end of the day. As much as Coca-Cola still does its own billboards or different marketing, as much as they have grown and all that, I feel like us as people who usually talk about it has grown it more. It's the individuals who grow it more. And if you look at the business from that perspective, you'll understand that marketing is not you picking one side, digital marketing or traditional marketing only. You have to balance the two because they have to work together. And to create that credibility, to grow the numbers, you have to show up offline more than the online aspect of it. Because the people who see you offline will be like, oh, I saw him, we were together, we took a photo, post you on social media, tag you, and that's how people are like, oh, you know this person too. Let me go check the profile. And that is how people grow and your business grows too.
Yeah, that I mean it makes perfect sense the way you explain it. I can hear some of the bikes. I'm actually thinking what the show looks like now. I'm curious to see. I mean we also have some construction happening here, so I think the sound I suppose is maybe less than ideal for both of us at the time. But I mean I think we're still doing fine. We're doing well. I mean I don't know, hold you too long because I know we're reaching the end of our time together. But I do want to get through some of these quick tips just to kind of help maybe the smaller entrepreneurs or business owners or digital marketers, influencers, help them get some more actionable ideas. Well, not that you haven't given any, I think you've given plenty. But so the idea with these questions is basically no, I'd say no long answers. Try to keep it as bite-sized as possible. I mean, obviously you'll know the nuance and the different perspectives that go with it because, for example, if I asked a question and you were, let's say I asked how to make your content more engaging on social media, and you said just make it more relatable. I mean, you would know what that kind of means, right? And you know what steps to do. Um, but maybe the audience wouldn't. So the if you can find a balance between the shortest answer and the longest answer, I think that would be ideal. Yeah. So my first question for you is then, what's one essential tip for businesses looking to enhance their social media presence effectively?
Build a community that is going to help you have conversations and engagements that are making sense to your audience and to your business.
Okay, sweet. I think that's well put, very well put. My next one is, what's your top tip for creating engaging content that resonates with an audience and drives engagement?
Balance the different aspects of the media because you're going to use media to engage those people. So know when to inform them, know when to entertain them, know when to educate them, know when to hard sell or talk about your business directly, and know when to be part of the social conversations that align with your business and the values.
Okay, look at you go. Our next one, or the next one I have for you is for entrepreneurs just starting out. What's one simple SEO strategy you'd recommend they implement to improve their online visibility?
SEO strategy, these are cut across even on social media because social media platforms are also search engines. I want you to leverage the already available spaces, communities, and also the people that are in line with the industry you represent that have grown their audiences. request them to feature you, request them to have a conversation with you, request for collaboration, because that is what is going to power you up much better than you doing everything by yourself.
Okay, I like that tip. I like that tip. Makes me think. It's kind of related to, I'd say, how backlinks work almost for websites. The next one is what's one key metric businesses should track to assess the effectiveness of their marketing efforts?
Data. Analyze your data. Use tools if possible. Analyze it. Use it to make the right decisions for your strategy.
Okay, and our last one, finished before an hour, like we agreed. What's your best tip for entrepreneurs looking to build a loyal community around their online brand?
Loyal community, you need to show up for them. And that means give people opportunities when you can, and also invite them to your opportunities where you have some. A community is people who feel like they're belonging. They have the same interest that you have the same interest. Do this. Sometimes it's not about them coming to you. Always find them where they are, engage them, even if it's on their post in the community, smaller communities that we have in terms of maybe this podcast. You have a community in this podcast. There are people who constantly come here. High chances are you have a comment section. Why? Because you want your people to engage and connect. So give them that opportunity to connect, to engage, to feel like they belong, and also always create a community that serve the same interests. That way, it will be very easy for you to build your brand in the long term and your business in the long term. Then you have the right kind of soldiers who will be there for you when times are bad, especially during a crisis.
Okay, thank you. I mean, and well, this isn't part of our five quick tips, but I think this one may take us over by a couple of seconds. This is, well, what advice would you give to someone looking to break into the digital marketing field today?
Wow, we are so many. Oh, everyone is becoming a digital marketer. Oh my God. What will I say? Okay. I'll say this. You might feel like everyone is a marketer lately. Some people, when they get like 2,000 followers, they feel like they're marketers already. But a tip that will help you is find yourself in places where you can learn and where you can teach. Always mentor someone if you've learned something. Always be ready to be mentored. So have generally a beginner's mindset that will help you to grow, to constantly thrive and be there as a digital marketer who want to be there for the longest. But if you want to be here for the shortest time, go the viral way so that we can forget you in 2 years' time.
Cool. There you have it from our digital marketing guru herself, Janet. If you want to go the shortest way, go viral.
Mhm.
But yeah, that about sums up our time together. I won't hold you any longer. I mean, it's been fantastic having this conversation with you, getting to know you, like hearing your insights and perspective. As usual, for any of your hosting needs, feel free to check out our website. We're also on Facebook and LinkedIn. If you into that kind of thing, you can also find Janet and social media online. I'm sure she'll be happy to include you as part of a 250,000 followers. I'm sure the community's door is always open. If you have any topics or questions you want to hear about, feel free to reach out to us. We have all the details of today's episode, including Janet's contact details in the show notes. Thanks for listening to the HostAfrican. Goodbye.